Good morning, Year 9. I hope you're well and looking forward to enjoying a little bit more of our story, Secret Life of Bees. I'm going to carry on where we left off yesterday, page 66. I hope you enjoy and please follow along with my ruler on the screen. A candle inside a tall red glass threw glints and glimmers across her body. She was a mix of mighty and humble all in one. I didn't know what to think. But what I felt was magnetic, and so big it ached like the moon had entered my chest and filled it up. The only thing I could compare it to was the feeling I got one time when I walked back from the peach stand and saw the sun spreading across the late afternoon, setting the top of the orchard on fire while darkness collected underneath. Silence had hovered above my head, beauty multiplying in the air. The trees so transparent I felt I could see through to something pure inside them. My chest had ached then too, this very same way. The lips on the statue had a beautiful bossy half smile, the sight of which caused me to move both my hands up to my throat. Everything about that smile said, "Lily Owens, I know you down to the core." I felt she knew what a lying, murdering, hating person I really was, how I hated Tira and the girls at school, but mostly myself for taking away my mother. I wanted to cry, but then in the next instance I wanted to laugh, because the statue also made me feel like Lily the smiled upon, like there was goodness and beauty in me too, like I really had all that fine potential Miss Henry had said. Standing there, I loved myself, and I hated myself. That's what the Black Mary did to me. Made me feel my glory and my shame at the same time. I stepped closer to her and caught the faint scent of honey coming from the wood. May walked over and stood beside me, and I could smell nothing then but the pomade on her hair, onions on her hands, vanilla on her breath. Her palms were pink like the bottoms of her feet, her elbows darker than the rest of her. For some reason, the sight of them filled me with tenderness. Tenderness is an adjective which means sort of gentle, kind feelings and actions. August Boatwhite entered, wearing a pair of rimless glasses and a lime green chiffon scarf tied onto her belts. "Who have we got here?" she said, and the sound of her voice snapped me back to my ordinary senses. She was almond buttery with sweat and sun, her face corrugated with 1,000 caramel wrinkles. Corrugated is used to describe a material which has ridges and bumps to make it stronger. So it's an odd way to describe someone's face, and perhaps tries to show us something about the power and the interesting nature of August. With 1,000 caramel wrinkles and her hair looking flower-dusted, but the rest of her seemed decades younger. "I'm Lily, and that's Rosaline," I said, hesitating as June herself appeared in the doorway behind her. I opened my mouth without any sense of what I would say next. What came out couldn't have surprised me more. "We ran away from home, and I don't have any place to go," I told her. Any other day of my life I would have won a fibbing contest hands down. Fibbing is a slang phrase to mean telling a lie. And that's what I came up with, the pathetic truth. I watched their faces, especially August's. She took off her glasses and rubbed the depressions on each side of her nose. It was so quiet I could hear a clock ticking in another room. August replaced her glasses, walked to Rosaline and examined the stitches on her forehead, the cut under her eye, the bruises along her temple and arms. "You look like you've been beaten." "She fell down the front steps when we were leaving," I offered, returning to my natural fibbing habit. August and June traded looks while Rosaline narrowed her eyes, letting me know I'd done it again, speaking for her like she wasn't even there. "Well, you can stay here till you figure out what to do. Can't have you living on the side of the road," said August. The intake of June's breath nearly sucked the air from the room. "But August—" "They'll stay here," she repeated, in a way that let me know who the big sister was and who the little sister was. It'll be all right. We've got cots in the honey house. June flounced out, her red skirt flashing around the door. Thank you, I said to August. You're welcome. Now sit down. I'll get some orangeade. We got situated in the cane-bottom rockers while May stood guard, grinning her crazy woman grin. She had great big muscles in her arms, I noticed. How come you all have names from a calendar? Rosaline asked her. Our mother loved spring and summer, May said. We had an April too, but she died when she was little. May's grin dissolved, and out of nowhere she started humming. Oh, Susanna, like her life depended on it. Rosaline and I stared at her as her humming turned into hard crying. She cried like April's death had happened only this second. Finally, August returned with a tray of 4 jelly glasses. Orange slices stuck real pretty on the rims. Oh, May, honey, you go on out to the wall and finish your cry, she said, pointing to the door and giving her a nudge. August acted like this was sort of normal behaviour happening in every household in South Carolina. Here you go. Orangeade. I sipped. Rosaline, however, downed hers so fast she lent out a belch that the boys in my junior high school would have envied. It was unbelievable. August pretended she didn't hear it, while I stared at the velvet footstool and wished Rosaline could be more cultured. So you're Lily and Rosaline, August said. Do you have last names? Rosaline Smith and Lily Williams, I lied, and then launched in. See, my mother died when I was little, and then my father died in a tractor accident last month on our farm in Spartanburg country, and I don't know any other kin around here, so they were going to send me home. August shook her head. Rosaline shook hers too, but for a different reason. Rosaline was our housekeeper, I went on. She doesn't have any family but me, so we decided to go up to Virginia to find my aunt. Except we don't have any money, so if you have any work for us to do while we're here, maybe we could earn a little bit more before heading on. We aren't really in a hurry to get to Virginia. Rosaline glared at me. For a minute, there was nothing but ice clinking in our glasses. I hadn't realised how sweltering the room was, how stimulated my sweat glands had gotten. I could actually smell myself. I cut my eyes over to Black Mary in the corner and back to August. She put down her glass. I had never seen eyes of that colour. Eyes the purest shade of ginger. I'm from Virginia myself, she said. For some reason, this stirred up the current that had moved in my limbs when I first entered the room. All right, then. Rosaline can help May in the house, and you can help me and Zach with the bees. Zach is my main helper, so I can't pay you anything, but at least you'll have a room and some food till we can call your aunt and see about her sending some bus money. I don't exactly know her whole name, I said. My father just called her Aunt Bernie. I've never met her. Well, what were you planning to do, child? Go door to door in Virginia? No, ma'am, just Richmond. I see, said August. And the thing was, she did. She saw right through it. That afternoon, heat built up the skies above Tiburon. Finally, it gave way to a thunderstorm. August, Rosaline and I stood on the screen porch that jutted off the back of the kitchen and watched the clouds bruise dark purple over the treetops and the wind whip the branches. We were waiting for a let-up so August could show us our new quarters in the honey house. A converted garage in the back corner of the yard, painted the same hot flamingo shade as the rest of the house. Now and then the sprays of rain flew over and misted our faces. Every time I refused to wipe away the wetness. It made the world seem so alive to me. I couldn't help but envy the way a good storm got everyone's attention. August went back into the kitchen and returned with 3 aluminium pie pans and handed them out. Come on, let's make a run for it. These will keep our heads dry at least. August and I dashed into the downpour, holding the pans over our heads. Glancing back, I saw Rosaline holding the pie pan in her hand, missing the whole point. When August and I reached the honey house, we had to huddle in the door and wait on her. Rosaline glided along, gathering rain in the pan and flinging it about like a child would do. She walked on puddles like they were Persian carpets, and when a clap of thunder boomed around us, she looked up at the drowned sky, opened her mouth, and let the rain in. Ever since those men had beaten her, her face had been so pinched and tired, her eyes dull like they had the light knocked out of them. Now I could see she was returning to herself, looking like an all-weather queen out there, like nothing could touch her. If only she could get some manners. The inside of the honey house was one big room filled with strange honey-making machines, big tanks, gas burners, troughs, levers, white boxes, and racks piled with waxy honeycombs. My nostrils nearly drowned in the scent of sweetness. Rosaline made gigantic puddles on the floor while August ran for the towels. I stared at a sidewall that was covered with shelves of mason jars. Pith helmets with netting, tools and wax candles hung from the nails near the front door, and a thin veneer of honey lay across everything. The soles of my shoes stuck slightly as I walked. August led us to a tiny corner in the back, with a sink, a full-length mirror, one curtainless window, and 2 wooden cots made up with clean white sheets. I placed my bag on the first cot. May and I sleep out here sometimes when we're harvesting honey round the clock, August said. It can get hot, so you'll need to turn the fan on. Rosaline reached up to where it sat on a shelf along the back wall and flipped the switch, causing cobwebs to blow off the blades and fly all over the room. She had to pick them off her cheekbones. You'll need dry clothes, August told her. I'll air dry, Rosaline said, and she stretched out on the cot, making the legs on it bow. You'll have to come into the house to use the bathroom, August said. We don't lock the doors, so just come on in. Rosaline's eyes were closed. She had already drifted off and was making little puff noises with her mouth. August lowered her voice. So she fell down the steps? Yes, ma'am. She went head first, caught her foot in the rug on the top of the stairs, the one my mother hooked herself. The secret of a good lie is don't overly explain, but throw in one good detail. Well, Miss Williams, you can start work tomorrow, she said. I stood there wondering who she was talking to. Who was Miss Williams? When I remembered I was Lily Williams right now. That's another secret to lying. You've got to keep your story straight. Zach will be away for a week, she was saying. His family has gone down to Pawleys Island to visit his mama's sister. If you don't mind my asking, what will I be doing? You'll work with Zach and me, making the honey, doing whatever needs doing. Come on, I'll give you the tour. We walked back to the large room with all the machines. She led me to a column of white boxes stacked, one on top of the other. They're called supers, she said, setting one on the floor in front of me and removing the lid. We're going to pause there this morning, Year 9. I hope you've enjoyed this section and are looking forward to continuing on again next session. Before you go, have a go at the 5 questions underneath the video here. Try and go for 5 out of 5 and have a lovely rest of your day.